Last night I went to my high school reunion, and it was my 20-year high school reunion. And I went because I knew that in high school I was traumatized. I knew from just Saprea and learning like the body keep the score and just like learning about trauma, and I just knew I was traumatized. I just knew I was like disassociating and I was going through a lot. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna go to this high school reunion, but I'm also gonna I'm gonna do this healing journey thing, and I'm really gonna do it because I've been feeling like the spirit's leading me to Miami. Um, every time I turn around, it's like Miami, 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 Miami. I meet people from Miami. I see signs that say Miami. Like it's just this whole, literally all year long, all of the signs have been pointing to Miami. Um, Now they're pointing to Japan, which is interesting, but I'm not sure what's in Japan. But anyway, so I came here and I knew I had to unpack things. Like I knew I had to go through the process of healing. I met a lady. I actually met a lady at the spa, and it was weird because I was in one of these moments where I really wanted to move around, and in the spa room, like inside of the room that I was in, like the sauna room, it's like one of those things like you don't really like stand around and start dancing, and when there's people in there. So I was in there by myself, and I was kind of like dancing around, to be honest. And then two women walked in the door, and they were talking. And you're also really not supposed to be talking, and they were kind of talking loudly. So I was kind of like, well, everybody's in here breaking the rules. Let me just go ask them, do they mind if I like keep dancing? So I walked up to them and I said, hey, I just need to move. Like, y'all mind if I keep moving? And they were like, no, we're about to go upstairs and do like G-Kong. And I remembered that from the Saprea retreat, and it's something I didn't get to do because I got sick, like basically as soon as I got to the retreat, so I didn't really do the retreat so much. But I knew it was something that they were doing, and I recognized the name, and I was like, "Oh yeah, blah blah." And I think I might have mentioned Saprea or said something about it in passing, but it's one of those things. Like I love Saprea's name because it's kind of like a code word. Like you can say it, and if you know what it is, then you know what it is. But if you don't, you don't. And so like I said it, and like straight away she like knew what it was, and she starts like talking to me about Saprea and sort of like educating me on things I didn't even know about the organization. And basically, she explained that she had gone to the retreat, but what she did was she was like a universal like Easter egg for me. She was a token, and she gave me the answer I'd been looking for because a lot of the signs from the universe had been pointing to Miami, and I knew I had to come back here, but I didn't know why. I just knew I had to come back here, and I knew I didn't want to. Um, and she said to me that she had also been, sexually abused, and I think it might have been her uncle or something. But basically, she said she had to come back to Florida. I think she was from Broward, and she said she had to come back, and she had to go to all the places that she was abused, and she had to visit them, and just like face it. And I said, "Oh, I see now. That's why I have to go. That's why the spirits. That's why you're here to tell me this right now at this moment." Because I had literally been like I said, I was in the room by myself dancing around. I was kind of moving because I was just trying to, I was just trying to get movement between my feelings and the space, and just give the spirit the time. Sometimes you just have to give the spirit the time to answer. And so like I was doing that, and then she comes with the answer. It's like, okay, this is why you have to go. So I went last night to the Dayland Marriott. I went to my high school reunion, and like I said, I know I was traumatized. So I went because I really wanted to see how many people would like know me that I couldn't recognize, and that like they would have memories with me that I didn't remember. To see like how bad like the dissociation was and where like it started and all these kind of things. And what I discovered was that people who people who I met early on in high school, and I didn't kind of there's this thing where I don't know what happened exactly, but I remember somebody said to me last night, they were like, yeah, we were friends and then you changed. And then I was like, what? And then basically I recognized that like there was a theme last night, which was that there was certain people. I'm going to specifically say like Stephanie and Geraldine really shocked me, because like they looked at me, and I actually ended up having to tell them about the abuse and stuff, because like they were like kind of like offended. They were like, we spent all of high school together. Like, why don't you know who we are? Like, this is not acceptable for us. And like, I was just like, I don't know. Like, I just didn't know who they were. Like, I didn't. The names sounded familiar. The faces looked familiar, but my brain just like wiped that whole thing clean. It was like, I don't know. It just isn't there, you know? And like, it was weird. It was interesting because there's a girl named Priscilla who I went to church with as a child, and who was also at my high school. And so I remembered her because I remember seeing her from church and from high school and things like that. And then there was people who I went to middle school with. One person who was always very lovely to me, and I was shocked because she said, oh, she remembered my mom, and she was all like, yeah, you used to always talk to me about your life and your family and how hard it was. And I was like, wow, I really talked to you about all those things? And she said, yeah. And then she's like, we used to really connect on some things, da da da. And I was like, oh, we really didn't connect on too much, you know, like, you know, for her, I was like, she didn't know about the abuse, obviously, but I found myself in this place where it was like, I think, about like I feel like 3 times over, I had to talk about the abuse with my brother last night to make it make sense why I didn't remember people who spent a lot of time with me. I guess to like make them feel better. I don't know. I woke up this morning. It's been emotional. I'm emotional right now. I'm having to hold back tears. It's difficult. The hardest thing, honestly, was like, there was this moment where I was just like sitting there. And it's okay. It's like, I'm recording this so that like other people who don't have all of the tools, because I was just so long, like, I was so long not knowing all of these things about myself and my history, and just like traumas affect my brain and my life, and knowing that like it's okay. Like, I had this moment at the end of the night, and I kept seeing Tiffany, and I knew all high school that Tiffany didn't like me, and I knew why she didn't like me. And I let her not like me because I knew why she didn't like me. Because Tiffany's mom used to work like cleaning my house, and I don't know. I just knew why, and at the end of the night, it was like an open bar and people had been drinking, and I walked up to her and she's like, yeah, I know you, and my mom used to clean your house, and blah, 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 blah. She just started straight away with all this stuff, And I didn't say anything to her, I just let her talk, and then she's like, yeah, my mom passed away, and how's your mom, and how's your brother, big tall brother, and that's just going on with my brother, and I was just like, well, I'm sorry about your mom, and it's just that my brother that you asked me about, he abused me when I was like, from when I was like really young until like 11, and she's like, the grass is always greener on the other side. Like things sometimes they look good from the outside and it's different, And she was just like, obviously the normal reactions was just like, oh, I'm sorry that you went through that, da da da. And she was just like, oh, it's just like for my mom, it was always like the Callaways and this and that and the next thing. And it's like this whole perception of like her growing up in her house where it's like her mom was cleaning my home and being like, yeah, you have to be this way and they're this way and da 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 da, like this putting on airs thing, And then it's like me in my house where it's like, you have to be quiet and don't tell family business out in the streets, and another situation of like just putting on airs and bullshit. And I was just like Tiffany, like, man, life is hard for everybody. Like, it's all just. I just kind of felt like, for me after the night, maybe it's wrong, maybe it's different, but I needed to have like something seem better. And I was like, maybe if she could leave, and understanding that like this whole time thinking I'm fucking somebody to be jealous of, like you can understand that it's like not that. I feel like that in life anyway though. I feel like anybody you're jealous of, anybody you think is like, oh, that person's great, I wish they had everything, but you fucking don't know anything about their life, man. Like you don't know what you're wishing for. You could be wishing for cancer and you don't even know nothing. Like you don't know nothing about anybody's life you're trying to be jealous about them for. We all have our cross to bear, so to speak. Anyway, it was weird. It was a weird thing. It was weird, but it wasn't weird. It let me know that like it's valid. It's not like you get to this point as like a quote unquote survivor or whatever of abuse, like where you start to, maybe you still start to question things. You still start to wonder like whatever, and it's like. For me, I know obviously like my experiences are real and all that kind of stuff, but it's just like your brain does this thing where it's like you want to convince yourself that it didn't happen so you could just move on and push everything under the rug. At least for me, that was like my coping thing. It's just like, let's just pretend all of the sad shit didn't happen so you can just move on and be happy, But like, wow. Like, how do you go to your high school reunion? Like, people were like I had to sit down. I was literally having like a moral like problem for like 3 minutes. I like sat down behind somebody who was kind of like, I'm not gonna feel upset that you don't remember me, and I'm like, will I tell this person that I was like deeply sexually abused and that's why like my brain doesn't work, like some like shut off or whatever, like, or will I just say nothing? Like, and this is me, and this is like me thinking like, well, what if I say it and it gets sad and it gets weird, and it's just like, there's like so many things to think about and process through like in a split second. And so I was like, you know what, Priscilla was sitting there. I've been knowing her for a long time, from church and then from school, and then Geraldine was sitting on the other side, and I was like, I recognized her name, and the more I sat in front of her, I recognized her face, but I recognized that these were the people that I was wondering about. I recognized I was sitting on one side with one person that I remembered, and the other person who, I want to say that it must have been maybe like 2 years. I feel like there's this thing in high school that did happen, and yeah, it's like in the middle of high school. I think I was like 16. And my mom, I don't know what I was doing, but my mom sat me down and she was just like, I'm done being parent. I'm done parenting. Like, I'm not cooking and I'm not doing all of these things for you guys anymore. Like, you got 16 years, your brother got 20 years. The two of y'all need to figure it out. And like, I'm done. And so like, if you don't come home by midnight, just don't come home. And so like, it's just me and Nicholas Hyman out in the streets. That's what we was doing. Just out there just being just rejected teenagers. I would be at Nicholas's house, sleeping on Nicholas's floor with his cat. I'd just be out there just trying not to be at home, really. Just trying to survive. I do remember a period of high school where my golf coach sat me down and told me that I needed to like come to school more, or else I was gonna have to do like summer school or something, because I was like missing too many days of school. It's like I would just like be out all night or whatever, and then I just wouldn't, or I'd be like really late to school, And then I would get home early enough to miss so that my mom wouldn't get the phone call, because the school would call if you don't show up. But like I'd pick up the phone, I'd be like, "Hello, yes, I know she's sick." And I just do whatever, you know. That's what I was doing. So I guess that's what Vanessa meant. So she's like, yeah, we were really good friends. And I remember her because we went to middle school together. But whatever. Anyway, that's all I have to say for today. I just needed to unpack, and I needed to let that out, and I needed to let everybody know, disassociation is real. I guess I had to let myself know. I had to come here so I knew about it in the books, and I had read about it, and I knew that during the time of high school I was traumatized, and I wanted to see how bad that really was, like what the effect of that really looked like on an everyday life. And what it looked like was that people who were maybe not so nice to me, I remember the people who were like bullies and stuff like that, very vividly. And then the people who were nice to me and like were my friends, that did not know me in middle school, or weren't around a lot, I don't remember. Like there's like one friend that I remember because she was like around a lot, and then we kept contact after high school. But like if we didn't keep contact after high school and you weren't bullying me or something like that, it seems like it's like my brain was just like, nope, you know. Or people that I was around a lot, like I guess in golf, but none of the golf people were there. But yeah, okay. Anyway, I'm done. Disassociation.